And welcome back to Boom and Bust. I'm your host, Tony Clement, having a conversation with Dr. Brian Lee Crowley. He is the managing director of the Macdonald Laurier Institute think tank. Brian, we talked a little bit about 2025. I want to jump ahead now to 2026. What do you see as Canada's biggest challenges moving forward next year?
Well, number one is, as we were talking about a moment ago, is figuring out where Canada fits in the world,
Mm,
and how we're going to manage our relationship with the United States, how we're going to manage our relationship with much of the rest of the world, whether we can do some of the things that Mr. Carney, for example, in Ottawa are promising we can do, like build pipelines, other major infrastructure, whether we can get our immigration system under control so we're no longer jamming too many people down the pipe where there isn't enough healthcare capacity and there isn't enough housing and there isn't enough school capacity and so on to handle this number of people all at once. Plus, of course, there's the whole issue of reconciliation with Indigenous people, which I think has been terribly handled and has become a terrible mess. And people are worried that it's going to obstruct some of those things that I mentioned before, and particularly, our ability to get major projects done.
right.
I'd say that's a pretty full plate for Canada.
What about national unity? I mean, we've got a Quebec election happening next year. It looks like it's at this juncture, it looks like the Parti Québécois, Separatist Party, is going to win. And of course, we might even have a, referendum on sovereignty in Alberta. So, what's your take on all of that?
Yes, I think we're headed into a difficult moment from a national unity point of view, but I can't say that I think it's really our biggest problem. I think it's a second order problem,
Okay.
in the sense that I, I, you may disagree. I just think the chances of Alberta voting to leave Canada are tiny. I'm not saying that there won't be a significant number of people who vote yes in a referendum, partly because Albertans are justifiably angry at the way
Mhm.
that Alberta has been handled by Ottawa for more than a decade. The real problem is in Quebec. The until scandal hit the Liberal Party and Pablo Rodriguez apparently is going to resign as the leader of the Liberal Party, I was going to say that while the polls give the Parti Québécois a lead, in fact, if they're going to run on a platform of a referendum, that's
Mhm.
deeply unpopular in Quebec.
Mm.
And so I think that would have given the Liberal Party quite a strong case to make in the Quebec election. Unfortunately, it sounds like that's off the table. So I think chances are there will be a Parti Québécois majority government. My view is that it's time to take the gloves off with the nationalist movement in Quebec.
Mm.
They have, I think, dangled Canada on a string for 50 years and more. And it's largely because we've been unwilling to call their bluff.
Right.
Their bluff is, look, give us what we want, or we'll take our marbles and go home.
Mm. Mhm.
And it's interesting, every time the Quebec nationalists have lost a referendum, that has been an important moment for Canada to call their bluff, and we did so in two ways. In After the first election, the 1980 election, of course, that gave rise to the constitutional reforms of 1981-82,
Mhm.
which the province of Quebec still refuses to sign, even though it was completely democratically adopted and is completely applicable to every part of the country, including Quebec. They like to think it's not true, but it is. After the second referendum, that's when Jean Chrétien brought in the Clarity Act. I think
Right.
it's time for us to start thinking again about how we call Quebec's bluff. And I personally would be in favor of the federal government saying, you want to have a referendum in Quebec? We're happy to have a referendum in Quebec. We're going to call a referendum. We're
Mm.
going to ask the question, do you want Quebec to remain a part of Canada? And I'm telling you, that would get a massive yes vote
Hmm.
and would
Hmm.
completely take the wind out of the sails of the national community. Why should we let them drive this agenda all the time?
That is a great point. I hope people in Ottawa are listening to you, Brian, because that makes a lot of sense to me. We're going to take a little break with our guests. We'll be back after these important messages.